Completely destroy the entire Amalekite nation. Men, women, children, babies, cattle, sheep, goats, camels, and donkeys. Whoa! I'm not sitting in my normal chair today. This feels weird. I feel odd. We have Christy Nockels in with us, and appreciate you being here. Betty's really excited about this. So Betty is the reader of the group, and you have a new book out. I have never read a book. I've read kids' books because I can read those quickly-ish. And so Betty was really excited about talking to you. So I said, you know what, Rock? You do this interview, and I'm just going to be eye and ear candy, okay?
So fun. Thank you.
I'm just going to be, you know what? I'll just be over here. Just don't even mind me, okay?
Well, like Wally said, I am a big fan. I love your Lullaby album. I thought it was fantastic. I went through an episode of dealing with anxiety and depression, and I don't even know how I came to find that album, but every song, I can't even pick a favorite. I'm sure you've heard many people talk about that album, right?
Well, it's been actually one of the most surprising things that we've ever created or been a part of, just because at first, I thought, let's write, traditional lullabies. But once I got into it, it was very apparent to me that the Lord was like, He's like, I want to do this through you because I want to communicate with my people just about, my comfort and my love for them. And so we were like, I think this goes beyond kids. Like, this is like for 0 to however long you can live. And it's been sweet. Like when we lead worship, a lot of times I'll have everyone just be seated, and I'll just say, like, a lot of times we laugh, like I'll say, this is a sing over moment, kind of like a pour over when you go to Starbucks, you have to wait. But it's just sort of, I think worship is like so much a part of worship is, yes, us using our mouths and praising God, but also that communication of almost like just receiving from His heart, And so often I'll say, y'all have a seat. And we've sung those lullabies over people, and it has been some of the deepest ministry we've ever gotten to do with people and with song.
Not gonna lie, that surprises me because if you end with a lullaby, I'm the worst person in church. I would be like, okay, I'm going out. Like I'm trying so hard to keep my eyes open. I would be asleep. I mean, like out like that. I could fall asleep at the drop of a hat. You put a lullaby in front of me, I'm done for.
Well, obviously you've had so much experience with songwriting and now being a singer. I mean, you're fantastic at it, but now you're going into writing books. So as an author, has it been a different experience than singing, and how has it been that way?
Yeah, I think I went into it thinking, oh, I'm a songwriter, like you're saying. I mean, it felt like I'll be able to do this, and I think it's literally like using a different part of my brain. I recognized right away, and just working with an editor who was very smart. I felt very not smart, but she was so gracious with me, and just it was like a dream. I got there. I worked with Watermark, which is my publisher, and they gave me their head editor, which I was just so thankful for, and I needed. But yeah, it's been neat because, I mean, after this whole process, which took me honestly like 1.5 years, it took me longer than I thought it was going to take me. Like I actually wrote a whole manuscript, turned it in, and I ended up rewriting the whole manuscript. Just because it just, it was, like I said, it was just a way different process than songwriting. But I feel like, my goodness, I learned so much, and it was a very refining process.
Does writing a book make you realize how much you have forgotten about grammar?
Yes.
You're like, I have no idea how to formulate a sentence again.
Totally. And I actually read for the audiobook, and I couldn't pronounce some of the words I had written.
You know how to write them. See, that's the thing. I can pronounce them. I can't write them. Like, it's the craziest thing.
I think I'd always said these words a certain way. And the lady that was producing from New York was like, it's actually said like this. And I was like, really?
Oh, okay. So, just because you're from New York, you think you're better than me? Okay, fine, whatever. It's not how we roll in the South.
So, yeah, I learned a lot.
I love that. Well, I love the title, too. Your book is called The Life You Long For, Learning to Live from a Heart of Rest. And I don't know, have you heard of the Enneagram?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm a 9 on the Enneagram. I'm all about peace.
Yes.
So I'm all about rest. I can tend to be a sloth, so putting things off and all that stuff. So to me, when I read the title, I was like, okay, this is what I need to hear. So why was rest something that was on your heart that you felt like it needed a book written about it?
Yeah, well, it's actually part of my story from 15 years ago. You know, my husband Nathan and I were called Watermark. We made a lot of albums. We were on Rocketown Records and radio and touring and all of that stuff. That was back when we have 3 kids now. They're 20, 18, and 13. But this was when we just had 2, and they were about 5 and 3 at the time. And so I kind of start with, you know, telling you about my story of just basically how we laid down what we were doing. Literally, I came off the road. We kind of we didn't re-sign our record deal because I was exhausted. I was literally hit a wall as a young mom. And we even just at the time, you know, we had booking agent, we had, you know, a record label and a manager and all these people kind of looking in. And I was, you know, I was raised in the church. My dad was a pastor. And I think so much of my life was God's given me these gifts. This is what I'm supposed to be doing for him, and I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to strap the kids on my back, and we're going to, you know, our kids learn to walk on a bus, you know. But it was just this time in my life that I feel like the Lord just called me away, like called me back to learn how to really live from him rather than for him. I've lived this long enough that I'm able to like help people understand, like if God's calling you to this place of rest, and even if he's calling you to lay down something, he will be so faithful to give back 100-fold when you obey him and when you do what he's asking you to do. And so I love that over and over, you know, for all this time, I've been able to see him be faithful in it. So.
Right. And I think a big thing too, a big message that was going through it, when you have to give up your career and put it on hold for a while, a lot of us put our identity in what we do. Yeah. And so I'm sure that was difficult for you because you tied your identity into what you were doing. And now God's saying, give that all up and trust me in it. Yeah. I'm sure that was scary.
It was. You know, looking back on it, it's so neat how God just put all the pieces together. But my husband, Nathan, was really, you know, desiring to produce for other artists and worship leaders. And so we created a space for him in our basement to be able to do that. And so when I came off the road, he was able to kind of jump right into that. But
did you get a space too in the house? Like, did you get something special? Because I'm looking out for you. Because that sounds great having a studio. I would love that myself. But he's like, your space is upstairs with the kids?
Totally.
Like, yeah, that's not right.
And that's where I was headed with it. It's just that like, I would love to say that my transition home, you know, was just this beautiful thing. But I mean, it was like major tension because you're right. Like I had wrapped my identity around, you know, what I was doing on the road for the Lord. And like being with the Lord was, you know, a lot of times on stage with fog and lights and skinny jeans and, you know.
I feel you on the skinny jeans. I still got them.
And, you know, it was just now I'm like you're saying, I mean, I'm like in my kitchen and I didn't know at that time even how to clean my house and, you know, make food and stuff because we'd just been on the road so much. And it was like, okay, now I'm watching reruns of Blue's Clues, you know, with my kids. I went from arenas to, you know, and so it was a process. One of the beautiful things, I remember meeting with a songwriter. She'd come to the house. She's a country writer and she had 9 kids and she homeschooled them all. And she'd asked me to sing a demo. And I was so excited because it was like the first thing I'd done, you know, with music since I had come off the road and I'd been feeling so like, what's my place?
Yeah.
Like, where am
I? Lost, honestly, yeah.
And so she had come over and I was like, hey, can we have coffee? You know, I would love to just ask you some questions. And we sat in the coffee shop and tears were rolling down my cheeks. You know, I was just like, how do you do it? Like, how do you still write and have kids and like homeschool them and care for them? And she said something and I know it was the Holy Spirit's words to me really, but she said, you invite the glorious into the mundane. I started to just practice that as far as just when I would feel that insecurity of like, who am I? But it was just like in the carpool line. I mean, I eventually started calling my minivan my sanctuary because in the carpool line, I would go, okay, Jesus, I invite you here. Like, this is what I have. I invite you here at the kitchen sink when the kids are running through the sprinkler. Like that was how I started just meeting with God and really honestly becoming a true worshiper, I think, you know, in those places of just, I can't be out there maybe on the stage doing all these things, but I can meet you here and I can invite you into this.
Well, it's interesting because you talk about worship in that's what you did for a living too. Yeah. And you think of it as the, you know, the music side of it, but worship is actually a lifestyle that transcends the light skinny jeans and cords, you know?
Right. Yes.
And so, yeah, finding that place every day, I think is important. But being able to sit in that and rest, that being the concept of the book. What's your advice for someone that cannot rest ever? Like I have to, like
He's speaking from experience.
Yeah, my vacations are a checklist, and I'm not having fun unless I'm marking stuff off my list. It's bad. Like it's bad. You're laughing at me, but it hurts. But it's bad. No,
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, we mentioned Enneagram too. What number do you think I am?
Oh, okay. A 3?
Oh, God bless you. No, 8.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's what everyone does on the Enneagram.
An 8.
Oh, yeah, those people. Yeah. So anyway, back to rest.
Yes.
Like, what's advice on actually learning to sit and settle in with God?
Yeah, that's good. I often say to people when I don't know where to start, or if you feel that restlessness, I love the Psalms. I talk about it a lot in the book, and I identify I'm a 4 with a 5 wing. Mm-hmm. I think David was a 4 with a 5 wing, King David. Or I don't know if it's just the worshiper in me connects with his worship leader heart. But like I always tell people, I love the Psalms because it's like the highest of the highs. It's the lowest of the lows. And when I want to just sit and communicate with God or that rest, I'll often just start there, especially just in that place of, like you said, like learning to really sit with him and my mind not go somewhere.
Ooh, that's difficult.
It's just so difficult. I needed actually just to learn how to do that, like you're saying. And so often I would just start a conversation with the Lord. And at that time of my life, I had littles and I couldn't do an hour Bible study with a candle and all that kind of, it's just that's
important.
I wanted that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, me too.
But it's like, but often like my mentality was, well, if I can't it was like all or nothing. Well, if I can't do that, then I can't,
Right.
But I loved that, like, no, I could actually start a conversation with him in the morning. Maybe it's 10 minutes and I just take one verse and then I take that verse with me or that conversation with me all throughout the day. And so I love to say that, all my youth leaders all my life was like, have your quiet time, which was more like a checklist thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I love that really we're meant to become the quiet time. It's like we become what we behold. And so even just that 10 minutes could be a thing that I carry with me all throughout the day. And so then it's not even just a few moments of rest. It's like a life of rest. It's like a posture of rest. So I was noticing that I could my kids became familiar with me talking out loud to God in the car. And
She's just talking to Jesus, officer. Don't worry about it. It's fine. We're all good. We're being taken care of.
Totally. So now they're used to it. They're like, oh, okay, we're praying. So.
I love that. Well, a big thing, like you said, about this book is rest. So your book goes completely against what the world tells us rest is accomplished through. And I think as women, we always think that we need to be able to juggle everything, be able to handle everything, don't need to ask for help. Yeah. But how do you think the world portrays finding rest compared to how the Bible says to get rest?
I think the world would probably portray it as like, go to the beach, try to get off the grid or whatever. Whereas I believe that rest for the beloved is literally like, it's a posture of the heart. And in the book, I talk about how I kind of tell the whole story, but basically it's like living from the inside out versus the outside in. Mm-hmm. And it was this bullseye picture, basically, like the Lord just showed me, like, what if you just hit the bullseye? And then he's like, I'll take care of all the outer rings of your life. But he's like, do you understand that you're out here in the outermost ring of your life right now, even just trying to do good things for me. And had I stayed doing that, I would have kept doing good things for God. But I would never have, I believe, really understood how to be propelled from this place of rest. Like living as his beloved is the bullseye. And then what he showed me is that next outer ring is the community of the beloved. Mm-hmm. So, and then that outermost ring is the capacity of the beloved. So I was out here, in the outermost ring of my life, running ragged. Like you said, I got to do all the things. Right. It's all up to me. And I'm supposed to be building this thing because that's all we see is everyone out there killing it all day long.
Got my side hustle on.
Yeah.
I'm on my grind.
Totally. And then what the Lord showed me is just like, what if your hustling's actually holding you back from you coming and learning to live for me every day as like a life soul posture and living from the inside out rather than the outside in. And when we live from the inside out, I love that he showed me that it's people. People were right outside that bullseye. People before productivity, community before capacity. And so it's like by the time we get into our capacity, when we live from the inside out, I love to think that we have the community, the people of God around us, so we're not alone in it. We're raising other people up. We're bringing them into, our outermost ring, which I think is reclaimed at that point, like with us, so that we're with the people of God, we're with the family of God. We're not alone in it. We're not looking out for number one. We're walking with these people.
And that's the crazy thing about ministry, is ministry can actually be the thing that precludes you from being an effective minister, because you're doing the box work and getting the things done, and it takes place of the people side of it.
Right.
I know that happens for me all the time here. Like for me, it's like build the radio show, go on the air, do this, do this. And a lot of times I don't slow down to maybe be an encouragement to the person around me in that moment, because I'm working on the next day's show and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's probably not healthy.
Oh, I know it's not healthy.
Oh, really? You think?
Yeah, I've seen
now
it.
you're going to cast some judgment from over there? You know what? Christy and I are just having a little conversation here.
No.
I told Betty before you got here, I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about, because I don't go to therapy, but I'm thinking about treating everyone that comes in with a book as a therapist and just having them help me and fix
bad
me.
idea.
No, I think we're doing some good work here today. I'm learning some stuff.
But
I love it.
what Wally is saying, I think a lot of us fall victim to, is we feel like everything is on our shoulders. We have to carry this. We don't trust God in it. And for some reason, we carry that into our salvation as well.
That's right.
I've got to do it. I've got to make sure I'm doing all the right things. And I'm sure, even despite writing this book, even showing people how it can be done the right way, do you still find yourself falling victim to that, having to earn where you are in your salvation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I talk about it in the book, I give like a pretty extensive example of, I was in the Word that morning, but I still ended up in my closet having a fit over, all the stuff I had to get done that day. I strapped on the backpack, like it's all up to me. And if I'm not doing this for God, then He's not going to be, proud of me or whatever. It's like we can just quickly load all that stuff on and like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing though, because you've given me all these things. I'm supposed to be doing all this. And actually, I tell the story. I was cleaning a toilet upstairs of all things. And just really, truly, it was one of those like marked times in my life where I sensed the Lord's presence with me. And I was like, whoa. And I went downstairs. I did that thing where you open up your Bible and just see where it falls open. It was
I'm so glad that worked for someone. That never works for me. I always get the genealogy of Ruth
so-and-so
or something.
begat so-and-so.
Yeah, like never works for me. Like I'm great. Good on you.
But the desperate place I was in though, to do that. But it was like I opened it and it went to Psalm 37. And that was actually how I was saved. And as a kid, I was saved because we had these wall plaques in our house. Mine was like, it said our name, the meaning of our name. Psalm 37 was mine. Commit your way to the Lord, trust also in Him, and He shall bring it to pass. It was like the King James version of that. And so I memorized that because I was like, oh, that's my verse. And that morning, the Lord brought me back to that. And I believe, what you're saying, it was like, so strategic of Him, because it was like He was bringing me back to my gospel story of like how He first found me as a 7-year-old. And it was, you can live from this. It's not just about eternity. It's about the fact that you've been reconciled to me now and you can live from me now. It was like some cavernous questions that morning at the farm table. And it was like you're saying though, it's like we can quickly, as the people of God, and I think that's one of the enemy's tactics is just to get us wrapped up in all of that kind of stuff.
No, you were telling a fantastic
We're
story.
getting out the word.
You were telling a fantastic story. We have Bibles that prop up my copy stand, so I'm getting one of those. I just want to demonstrate something, like how, look, I'm going to open the book to just anything. I'm going to like, Lord, show me something that Wally needs to learn today, okay?
She's like, oh, I see what you're
I know.
doing.
So here we go. We're going to open this up.
Welcome to
flop
my world.
that open. You just point to any verse. Don't look. Just point somewhere. Just point. Don't look. Don't read. Don't read. Just point.
Okay.
Oh, you're reading. Okay, 15. We are in 1 Samuel 15.
What is the Lord teaching
Saul
you?
defeats the Amalekites. One day, Samuel said to Saul, "It was the Lord who told me to anoint you as king of His people of Israel. Now listen to this message from the Lord. This is what the Lord of heaven's armies has declared." This might be good. We're going somewhere. "I have decided to settle accounts of the nations of Amalek for opposing blah, 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 blah." I'm sorry. I didn't mean to blah, 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 you God. I'm sorry. I know that maybe this is my problem. Maybe this is on me, actually, come to think think of it. Blah, 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 blah. I'm starting to think I have the issue.
We knew that all along.
Now now we're getting somewhere. Completely destroy the entire Amalekite nation. Men, women, children, babies, cattle, sheep, goats, camels, and donkeys. Whoa, we nailed that. Okay, see,
I got a feeling that's not how your Bible study goes down.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to probably have to leave the interview and go destroy some stuff.
What's new, right?
Yeah, I know. I've already destroyed the interview. So.
Oh, my God.